All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to day number 29. So, 29 days I've been showing up and doing art, and of course, I've been live streaming them during the weekdays. So, I appreciate everyone that's been tuning in. And as always, if you want to pop into the comments and say hi, it's always great to see where you are tuning in from. So, so day 29, it means that we've got today and tomorrow left for this challenge. I've said in previous days that I'm planning on doing a challenge in October, but I'm going to call it a monster a day. So if you don't know, I also have a line of artwork where I do these monsters. So if you're not familiar with that, go check out my website. Well, after we're done here today, but whenever you can, so that so I just kind of need something different. I think I've been on quite a journey this month and been really enjoying what I'm doing, but I just kind of feel like, okay, for October it's appropriate to do monsters, and also just I need time. Want to do something a little bit different. So so I'll be here today. I'll be here tomorrow, same time, live streaming, and we'll see kind of what we get into today. So I think today I'm just going to try to wing it a little bit more, kind of maybe go back to like the roots like I did at the beginning of the month, and work a little bit more intuitively. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, if you're just tuning in and you want to pop into the comments and say hi, always great to see who's here and where you're tuning in from. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it over, and we can go ahead and get started. All right. I have no idea. I really feel like I've been getting onto something with all of this work that I've been doing, and I'm really looking forward to finishing up tomorrow, where I can kind of put all 30 pieces together into like one image and really take a look at what has become. And so it's been really interesting. I'm turning to my Inktense travel paint pan set, or whatever they call it. Again, this is paint. It's not really watercolor paint, it's water soluble ink. The Inktense, the Derwent Inktense brand is all water soluble ink, and I like it because it has a nice range of colors. The only color it doesn't have a real bright violet. That's one thing I don't like, but I think I saw that they have a new set out, set of 24 that actually has violet, so I might have to get that. I don't know. Just kind of starting out with this might be a little bit hard to see. It's a very light yellowish green color. I think I'll go ahead and throw in a little bit of the darker green. Oops. I really just scrub the paint down, so I'm not too worried about it being neat and even. Sometimes people get really caught up in like, oh, it's got to be really, really crisp and really clean. I find that I layer so much on top of it that it really doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and hit this with the hairdryer. just going to reach over here and grab some collage materials. Love my security envelopes. I think I want to use some torn paper today. So when I'm trying to work intuitively, it's more about just kind of listening to the voice and trying to be spontaneous. So it's not about not thinking. It's about thinking, but not overthinking. And so as I was drawing the paper, I looked over and I was like, oh, I see that security envelope. I like that texture, that pattern that's on it. So I was like, oh, I'll use that. But then it's like, I will rip it. So just, again, just kind of listening to that voice. Erase a little bit of the pencil line that's up there. I see my internet's being funky again today, just kind of jumping around a lot. Okay. There. So again, just kind of trusting that intuitive voice. I just looked over and saw this envelope and I'm like, I think I want to use it. So just kind of trying to be a little bit more loose with the way I'm gluing this stuff down. So instead of gluing it completely horizontal, I let the strips of collage kind of slant a little bit. So as I was gluing down the security envelope, I liked how it sort of created this chasm, and very similar, kind of a similar shape as some of the organic things that I've been working with here recently. So I find that kind of interesting. But then I just thought, okay, well, I've been using these circles a lot, so it just kind of feels natural to put a circle down here. I didn't shade down a whole lot of pigment, so it's a little bit lighter than maybe I typically use, but it's kind of cool. So Kathy's asking about my feed, and unfortunately it's bouncing all over the place today. So I don't know, it's been kind of doing that the last couple of days. But hopefully the voice is going through nice and steady. So I'm just using the same blue Inktense pencil that I did over for the circle. So I'm still kind of using a lot of the same elements and even kind of thinking about similar layouts. Alright, that little strip's really peeling off. I think I want to have some organic lines coming out of the circle. So kind of radiating these organic lines that I've used a lot. I don't know if you all can hear the buzzing here in on the East Coast. We have an issue with stink bugs. We have the last, I don't know how many years, they came in from China 5 or 6 years ago, and this time of year they get into the houses. So there's it's winter's coming, so they try to find places to wait out the winter, and I guess where they come from, they would always go into like caves. So now they basically invade houses during the fall, and then are real pests the rest of the fall and the winter. So living in an old drafty house, they find their way in. So if you hear a real loud buzzing sound every now and then, it's just one of those stink bugs flying by. And I'm just using this blue pen to go around these shapes, create some shading around them. You know, a lot of times I've been using the colored pencil to shade around some shapes, but I can do it also with pen, and this blue really goes well with the blue Inktense pencil that I used. And by putting the marks very close together, it's darker, and then I can put the marks further away. It kind of lightens up a little bit, fades more into the background. So Stephanie's asking about the pens. These are Faber Castell Pitt Artist pens. And they come in a wide variety of colors, and there's a lot of them come in brush tip, but a few of them come in this super fine tip, and I really like that. So it's India ink. It fades a little bit even once it's dried if you paint over it, but it's a transparent ink as well, so things kind of tend to show through, which can be kind of interesting. But really, like any kind of pen or marker, I used to use a lot of Uniball Vision pens because you can get ones that are fade proof and waterproof. But I kind of stopped using them because I was traveling a lot, and they don't work well in planes because of the change of pressure. I use a lot of paint markers as well, so acrylic paint markers. There's a brand, the Uni Posca markers, that a lot of people like. Yeah, there's all kind of different ones. I'm thinking map now. Let's grab my map. No, that's long enough. I'm just looking at this little piece of map I glued on. It's got some red dashes on it, probably for a metro or something underground. So I think I just kind of want to highlight that and then continue it. That red just brings a little bit of contrast to the piece. I think I want a little bit more green. I like how that real light yellowish green just kind of helps tie everything together. So Stephanie in the comments just mentioned that she was thinking about ordering the Inktense pencils and was a little bit shocked at how expensive they are. They are probably one of the most expensive water-soluble pencils, And so Derwent's really about the only company that makes a water soluble ink pencil. But any watercolor pencils, watercolor pencils work really well. They work exactly like the Inktense, but it's watercolor paint in pencil form instead of ink. So Derwent makes really nice watercolor pencils. Prismacolor makes really good ones. Professional kind of quality. And other brands are pretty good. I mean, I even with my young elementary students, I used to use Crayola watercolor pencils, and they weren't too bad. I mean, they're not as bright and vivid as the Inktense or the Prismacolor, but really the Inktense, as far as the brightness and the color, it's very similar to like Prismacolor, very similar to the watercolor pencils that Derwent makes. But the real big difference is transparency. All of the Inktense pencils, except for the white, are transparent, and so it's a little bit easier to layer. Whereas some of the watercolor pencils, they get pinks and light blues by mixing white into it, and so those colors aren't quite as opaque. They are a little bit cloudy when you use them and try to layer on top. So, a good alternative if the Inktense pencils are a little bit much is just plain watercolor pencils. Yeah, I got a pack or a set of the 72 pencils a long time ago, and so now I just sort of replace individual pencils as I use them up. And even those are expensive, like per pencil. But when you're only buying one or two of them, it's not so bad. I'm feeling I need some black ink in there. Okay, my internet actually seems like it's behaving now and not being all jumpy, so that's good to see. But of course I say that and it'll probably start messing up again. I want black in there, but I'm not sure how I want to go about it. A lot of times I'm like outlining the shapes, but I don't know if I want to do that. You know what, let's just start out by having some thicker black lines. Even though I have a thicker black pen, sometimes I like using the thin pen to make the thick lines. There's just a different quality to it. A little bit more uneven, a little bit kind of wonky. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, still just trying to listen to that intuitive voice and just kind of feel like, okay, these lines need to be sort of diagonal and different thicknesses. Now, kind of thinking back to the Inktense pencils, one thing you can think about is if they're a little expensive, um, places like Michael's and some of the big box arts and craft stores have those 40% coupons, and usually it's like on one item, and so sometimes you can find find a nice good set of the Inktense. I know Michael's carries the Inktense, and so you might be able to get them 40% off, get one of those coupons. They're easy enough to get, so that's always an option, but of course that means going to the store. Yeah, so this one's like very different than many of the other ones that I've been doing. So, but there's still a lot of elements that are similar, kind of like that. I think I'm going to use my white gel pen. This is a Uniball Signo pen, and it's recently I bought several of them because you can kind of go through them quickly, and sometimes the ink dries up, especially if you don't use it on a regular basis. But it's a nice opaque white pen. just kind of feel like, okay, got some white dots in there. Now maybe just a few white lines. Gotta be careful of not overdoing it. So I'm going to go back to my black pen. So a lot of these white dots really stand out, but I'm going to make them stand out a little bit more just by taking my black pen and outlining them. So this is a good idea, like even when you're using metallic pens and markers. So if you use a metallic silver or gold, sometimes it doesn't show up too well because it doesn't contrast the other colors around it. Now the white's pretty good, but by putting a little bit of black around it, it's really going to make it pop out. And then, you know, over here there's a little circle that's maybe hard to see because it's on top of that security envelope and there's not a lot of contrast. But I do this a lot with metallic markers as well. You know, when I add embellishments of the metallic, sometimes it doesn't stand out if the background's not dark enough. So just a little bit of black outline really makes it pop out. I'll leave the lines alone, but I think these circles, just a little bit of outline around them. I can't believe it's as late as it is. Just get working, you're like get lost in the process. So with just a kind of a few more minutes left, I'm gonna just go back and maybe reestablish some of these lines. They got a little covered up with the paint. Even though the paint's fairly transparent, if you do put it on pretty heavy, sometimes it can cover a little bit of what's underneath. Or it can even like make it fade. Even though these pens are waterproof, they still will scrub away a little bit if you paint over them, and especially if you're kind of vigorous with the way you paint. Looking at it, I kind of feel like maybe I did it a little bit. But there are some really interesting things that I like. I really like the black lines, the white lines, the red dash lines. But I think I'm going to call it done, sign it, and call it good. Oop. Pen's not working. Actually, I was just looking at it and like, could I do one more thing? And I don't know. We'll see. So I've gotten into this habit of working with these circles, but then a lot of times they're made with maps, and I've been painting them, and I just kind of feel like, maybe it just needs a little bit more yellow. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if it really made much difference or not, but we'll hit it with the hairdryer. Well, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and call that one done. Let me go ahead and switch this over. All right, so, if you've got, let's see. All right, so, I can't believe it's already day number 29, so we've got one more day left, and kind of interested in seeing where that is going to go. One of the things I was thinking about, and I just kind of want to throw it out there, is I was thinking about, since a lot of people have been tuning in, maybe not live, but I know a lot of people come back and watch it and see it on YouTube, and it's like I really enjoy these pieces and have really been enjoying this process. But I was also thinking, like, it might be kind of cool to throw those up on the website and maybe sell them. So I don't know if anybody would want to buy them, but I think they're little pieces, 4x4, easy enough to get framed. I was thinking like $20 each or something like that. But I don't know. It's something maybe for October, as I get into October, to kind of think about. But it's like I was looking at them the other day, and I'm like, okay, I've got all these, it was like 26, 27 pieces, and I think they're awesome. I think they're great, but they might need new homes. So anyway, I'm just going to throw that out there, and if you want to pipe up and chime in what you think about that, definitely could use the feedback, because that's not why I was doing this. I wasn't doing this to like, oh yeah, I'm going to make all these artworks and sell them and make lots of money. It was more like, okay, I need to figure some things out. But I think some of these pieces have turned out really good. So anyway, day number 29. I'll be back tomorrow for day 30, and so I can't believe that we're at the end. That it's already the end of September. So thanks again for joining me, and thanks for tuning in, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow.